I'd like to introduce you now to Rhuanedd Richards, originally from the Cynon Valley. Rhuanedd went to Ysgol Gyfun Rhydfelyn before attending Aberystwyth University, where she was awarded a BBC scholarship to study for a postgraduate diploma in Cardiff University's School of Journalism. Rhuanedd started her career with BBC Wales as a journalist, then presented on both radio and television before being appointed Director of BBC Cymru Wales. Please give a very warm welcome to Rhuanedd Richards.
So I want to paint a picture for you. It's Aberdare in South Wales and the year is 1986. There's a 12-year-old girl, quite shy. Some of you will know the sort. The type who are so shy that they go bright red if a teacher even mentions their name in class. So picture that girl in your mind, and she sat at home on a Sunday evening in her bedroom in the days before the internet, YouTube and TikTok, waiting for the BBC Radio 1 chart show to come on the radio. This 12-year-old is a fan of music. She loves Madonna and Whitney Houston. To be honest, she loves any sort of pop music, but she loves radio even more. So she listens to the Radio 1 chart show until the very end, excited to find out who is number one. But not just because she wants to be able to talk about it the next day in school like everyone else. The real reason she's excited is because she's recorded the whole programme on a cassette, a sort of tape that we'd record things on before anything existed like phones and so forth. And then she'd be able to use that music in order to make her own personal radio programme. Because this 12-year-old in her own little world had her own radio station. It was only for her, mind you, nobody else. It had a name, Radio Cwm. It had its own jingle, Radio Cwm, beep, beep. And Radio Cwm was mine. I was the presenter. I got to introduce the music, read the news, talk about the weather, present a competition. Radio Cwm was all mine. And it was my escape to a wonderful world where I forgot about being shy, where I found a voice and where I could speak to an imaginary audience who listened attentively. Radio Cwm was my little secret, and I loved it. But never in her wildest dreams did that 12-year-old girl think that within just over 10 years later, she would in fact be actually presenting a radio show to the nation. And that 12-year-old girl would have laughed at any suggestion that almost 40 years later, she would be running the BBC in Wales. But today, I'm the director of BBC Cymru Wales. My job is to look after all our TV, radio and online content for the BBC in the English and Welsh languages. Well, for a start, I commission dramas. Some of you may have seen Wolf or Steeltown Murders, recently made by BBC Wales. Have any of you watched the new editions of Doctor Who? They're all dramas made by the BBC here in Wales. We make comedy too, as well as factual programmes and documentaries. We bring you your sport, rugby and football, women's and men's, athletics and everything else. We make Scrum 5 Match of the Day, and it was a massive privilege for me to be with my teams in Qatar for the Soccer World Cup. We've been in France for the Rugby World Cup. We also run 2 national radio stations for Wales too, Radio Cymru and Radio Wales. And over the past 12 months, we've also made Wales the home for shows on Radio 1, Radio 2, Radio 3, Radio 4 and Radio 6 Music. We make Bite Size, which I hope has been helpful to some of you at least. And we make 520 hours of TV every year for S4C. And we run an orchestra of 90 musicians who perform at home here in Wales and around the world. They've recently made the soundtrack for Prehistoric Planet with David Attenborough and for Doctor Who. They're seriously very, very cool. And of course, we make the news for Wales on your TVs, on your apps, online and on the radio. So to give you a taste of what it's like to do my role, in the last few weeks, I've been with the writers of Doctor Who and the presenters of Radio 2 at a concert in Cardiff. I've launched a drama in Ystrad Gynllais. I've been helping to get reporters into Israel. And I've been promoting the value of broadcasting women's football on the BBC, as well as looking at the future with generative AI or artificial intelligence. And why am I telling you this? I'm telling this because it shows that you can pursue careers which may, at this point, be beyond your wildest dreams here in Wales. There's opportunity here. There are great things happening here. You just got to go out and find it. In my business, we need engineers, electricians, carpenters, actors, writers, journalists, secretaries, sports enthusiasts, coders, lawyers, social media experts, costume and makeup designers, so many skills. And we're just one organisation. There are many others besides us. So keep an open mind, be ambitious, but be curious too. It's a massive privilege to do my job. And I used to think that that was just luck, that I'd been in the right place at the right time. But I've been persuaded to reconsider that theory and to think that the reason I've managed to get to this point in my career is firstly because I had an amazing education in Pontypridd. I had inspiring teachers who motivated me to aim high. And secondly, because actually I worked hard for it. Like many of you, my childhood wasn't without its challenges. And I'll be honest with you, when I was growing up, I never thought that someone like me from the Cynon Valley could run an organisation with over 900 staff and a £100 million budget. I never thought that I could aspire to work in BBC Wales, let alone run it, because to be honest, Cardiff at that time felt a million miles away from the reality of my day-to-day life. Working in the city, working in the broadcasting industry, being able to run an organisation felt about as likely as a heatwave in Wales in August. That would never happen to someone like me from a place like this. But you know what? It's exactly that attitude that many of us, the people of Wales, have to overcome. I have discovered that our own perceptions, our lack of confidence in ourselves, is a million miles away from how others perceive us. Because I think we bring something quite special and often quite important to the table. We bring important qualities to our workplaces. We bring a sense of community, of belonging, of understanding our customers or our audiences. We often bring strong values of kindness, fairness, and hard work. So how did it all happen for me? Well, it started by my decision to volunteer in Aberystwyth for a local radio station when I was in university. I had a Friday night music programme called The Frosted Pink Lipstick Show. And that's where I caught the broadcasting bug, but also my serious interest in journalism. So I applied and was successful in gaining a BBC scholarship to study a postgraduate diploma in broadcast journalism in Cardiff University, before becoming a reporter, and eventually I became one of the first ever political correspondents in the Welsh Parliament. I was there for around 8 years whilst also presenting news programmes on Radio Wales, Radio Cymru, on BBC Television and on S4C. And I also got to see a bit of the world too. I reported from New York in the aftermath of 9/11. I made a programme where I interviewed the Prime Minister of Israel, Benjamin Netanyahu. I followed the band The Stereophonics when they won their first ever Brit Award. And I presented a programme from the FA Cup final when it was held in Cardiff. I've had huge opportunities and lots of fun, and now I get to run BBC Wales. I see this as an opportunity to tell the story of Wales to the world, to showcase our journalists, our stories, our actors, our music, our writers, our languages, our history, our culture, and our content to the nations of these isles and beyond. Because boy, we've got a story to tell. I'm so proud of where I come from, of what it's given me, of what it's made me, and you should be too. Carry your identity with pride. Wherever you go, remember where you're from and what it means to you, and tell people about this amazing country of ours. When I look back on what I've done so far in my career and what I've learned over the years, there are a few things I wish the teenage Rhuanedd had known when she was your age. There are things about life, career, and leadership that would have made life simpler if I'd known about them back in the day, which certainly have changed the way I approach things now for the better. And I guess if I could share anything with you today, it would be these things. First of all, whatever you do, make sure that you base your decisions on what makes you happy. There's so much pressure on young people to know what they want to do for the rest of their lives at such a young age. But don't focus on that. Focus on what makes you happy, whether that's in terms of choosing your hobbies, in choosing your GCSEs, your A-levels, or indeed your careers. You work for a very, very long time in your life. Your school careers are over so quickly, but you're a long time working, so do what makes you happy. I honestly can't wait to go to work every day, and that's because I love what I do. I didn't plan any of this. I just followed my hobbies and interests, and they led me along this path. Being happy is the most important thing in life, so do what makes you happy, and don't let others choose your path for you. Second, and perhaps this is one of the most important things I applied to my outlook on life, and that is believe in the power of positivity and optimism in inspiring and motivating yourself and others. Nobody was ever inspired by misery. Think of how you feel when you're greeted in the morning by somebody who looks miserable. I think that being an unshakable optimist gives people energy and hope. And that doesn't mean being a blind optimist. We need to be aware of our weaknesses and faults and challenges, but inspire others to overcome them. Also, always think the very best of other people. Then there's the importance of setting goals. So for the past 10 years, I've sat down on January the 1st and set goals with my own family. We write them down because the theory tells you that you're far more likely to achieve them if you've written them down. And if you've got goals, then you've got a sense of commitment to what you want to achieve, and the world's your oyster. People with goals are people with vision and determination. It's a way of identifying what you want to do and how you want to go about doing it. It's a way of keeping you on track and not being distracted, even when you're going through difficult times. Fourth, I'd say think about the impression you create with others and how you build relationships. I've always, as I said, been incredibly shy. I hated drawing attention to myself, and I've always been quite uncomfortable among people I don't know. So I've had to learn how to build relationships with people I don't know and overcome my shyness. And I've had some great tips from people who have mentored me along the way. Things like the importance of looking people in the eye when talking to them, about asking engaging questions, and about not closing yourself down through your body language. By example, with standing there with your arms crossed. Another top tip someone gave me once was to find something in common with somebody else when you meet them. That always works. And to remember that the greatest gift you can give anyone is the purity of your attention. Next, I have learned about good self-talk. Sounds mad, I know, completely bonkers. But how you talk to yourself and about your own performance and attitudes really does have an impact. We all have days when we get out of bed and think, oh, we can't be bothered, or we feel a bit fed up, don't we? Well, when I feel like that, I honestly have to have a word with myself and remind myself that life's short and that I have a lot to achieve. And I tell myself to get a grip, get out there and enjoy it. And it works, you know? So try to maintain a positive self-talk. And yes, there will be setbacks along the way. Goodness, I've had a few disappointments, as will you. But it's how you pick yourself up from those that matters. I've learnt to become resilient. I've learnt the need to pick myself up, brush myself down and go straight back at it when I've experienced knockbacks, knowing that I'm stronger from having been through all of that. And finally, I've learned that my time is my own to manage in order to get the most out of life. So I do the maths. I work out how much time do I have to spend in work, how much time do I want to spend with my family and friends, and then I think very carefully about how I want to spend the rest of it. I love holidays. I'm sure you do too. So I make sure there's time to travel. But I also like to volunteer, and I allocate around 2 to 3 hours every week to make that happen. People tell me, how on earth do I have time for all of that? And I tell them that I make time because it's important to me, because it helps me feel that I'm contributing to society. But also, I learn so much about life, the universe, and everything from volunteering. I no longer get stressed about fitting it all in because I plan my time properly, and that has made such a difference. So these are the things that I think have helped me along the way, and I hope in sharing them with you that they will help you too. But please, above all, remember that nobody else can limit your ambition. You own your ambition. If you want to be the next First Minister, go for it. If you want to run a local business, go for it. If you want to be an engineer, a space scientist, an amazing teacher, if you want to learn a trade, go for it. Nobody has the right to hold you back. And if you work hard, if you dream big dreams and think big thoughts, if you're kind and respectful, and if you remain a fully paid up, decent member of the human race, the world will open up for you. And I want to see the young people of Wales grabbing every opportunity they can. Thank you.
Ardderchog. Diolch yn fawr iawn. Thank you very much. First of all, Rhuanedd, what is the most rewarding aspect of your job?
I think it's helping other people develop their careers. I probably mentor about 8 or 9 people, usually young women actually within the organisation who aspire to be leaders or aspire to be great broadcasters, and spending time with these individuals, helping them grow, helping them think a little bit differently perhaps about how they approach their work, how they overcome problems, and then seeing them succeed is definitely the most rewarding part.
That is amazing. What impresses you most when you are considering hiring somebody?
I think that they've got a story to tell. So everybody can get a set of qualifications. What I want to do is get to know the real person, what motivates them, what drives them, what their interests are, you know, a wider hinterland of background, of thoughts, of experiences. And if I can see somebody bring that wide range of interest to the table and that they're energetic and enthusiastic and positive in that, that really impresses me.
Fantastic. So you've been a TV presenter, you've been a radio presenter, and now you're running BBC Wales. Do you think that anybody can be a leader?
I do think that anybody can be a leader because I think a lot of leadership responsibilities, lots of leadership skills can be learned along the way, but it comes with the right attitude, yeah? You've got to want to achieve something. There's no point going into leadership if you don't want to leave a legacy, if you don't want to make a difference. So you've got to have that ambition to want to make a difference. And then you've got to have a vision to drive it. And then beyond that, you've got to create the right environment to inspire others to help you deliver that vision. And if you can get all those 3 things together, then anybody can do it.
Absolutely inspirational. What's the worst advice you've ever been given?
I think the worst advice I've ever been given is that I've got to be somebody other than myself.
Yeah.
That I had to act differently, that in some way I had to be a power woman, you know, and perhaps get a different attitude and smile less and laugh less, you know, I had to be very serious. I think people can smell insincerity a mile off. I think you've got to be true to yourself. You've got to be authentic. People have got to be able to relate to you. And so I think being true to that is really important to me.
Such wise words. Thank you very much indeed, Rhuanedd. Diolch o galon. Thank you. Any questions from the audience?
If you could leave us with one bit of info today, what would it be?
think the top tip I would give you is to be ambitious, yeah? To think about your wildest dreams, think about what really excites you, what motivates you to jump out of bed in the morning, and think about how you can pursue a future that involves those things that makes you happy. I think that is so important. As I say, people will tell you what to do, your parents sometimes, your friends, your teachers. You do what you want to do, what really drives you, what really makes you happy, and I promise you, you can't go far wrong.
Good question. And next.
What has been the most exciting part of your career so far?
Oh, wow, so many bits of it. I really enjoyed reporting. I mean, to be there when the Welsh Parliament opened its doors for the very first time and to be broadcasting live at that moment felt quite a privilege as well as a responsibility. Heading out to New York following 9/11 and having to report that terrible disaster event, terrorist attack in America was also a huge responsibility, and getting that right for audiences back home. I've also worked in the world of politics for a little while and very much enjoyed shaping decision making and guiding decision making along the way. And then to come into a leadership role where I can shape the future, if I can, of broadcasting in Wales and the content we provide you, and to help the people of Wales tell their story, that really excites me. So it's probably that more than anything.
Thank you so much for your questions. And we have another one.
I'm not sure what I want to do at college yet. How do I find my passion?
Do you know what makes you happy?
Kind of.
Try things out. Take some risks, yeah? I think it's fine to take some risks, to try different things out, and to find out that perhaps you don't even like them along the way. I think that's really important because it's a big world out there. There's a lot going on. And, you know, I had no idea really that I could pursue, that I could pursue a career in broadcasting until I started volunteering. And in volunteering, I discovered, oh, I really like this. Imagine if I could get paid to do this. But it was only through putting myself forwards, not holding back, and taking a swing. That's what makes the difference. So be brave and take some risks along the way.
Very good advice. And another question.
What first steps should we take when we leave here today to ensure a successful future?
Okay, so first step, set your goals, okay? It sounds really simple, but it is so impactful. If you go home this evening and you write down, right, what do I want to achieve between now and Christmas? Then write down, what do I want to achieve in the next year? And then write down, what do I want to do in the next 5 years? And that can be anything from getting your hair done, buying some new clothes, to passing your GCSEs, A-levels, whatever it is, write it down because you're far more likely to keep that in mind. And when you get distracted, when you fall over, when you reach those hurdles and you need reminding, why am I doing this? You can look at your goals and say, that is why. That's the motivation. That's what's keeping me going. So I'd really encourage you all to write down your goals.
Please join me in thanking Rhuanedd Richards. Diolch yn fawr iawn.
Motivation sets the foundation for all of your career decisions, helping you define what you want to achieve and giving you the drive to make it happen. Think about what motivates you. Is it an interest in a topic, or do you want to be successful in a specific role? Take some time to list your motivators. It'll help you push on when faced with challenges.